Ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between. What's good? Welcome back. So here's the story. I just finished my quarantine. On my birthday, no less, so happy birthday to me. But I'm sure some of you are wondering why the hell I'm in quarantine to begin with. To be honest, I'm as confused as you. So let me start back in November. Following tradition, I was to go home to America for the winter holidays because, come hell or high water, ain't no way my mother'd let me miss Christmas with her. Truth be told, I wasn't 100% on board with it. Flying seemed like I was purposefully getting into a metal petri dish, and state of the virus in America aside, the last thing I wanted to do was catch and carry it right to my mother's doorstep. Some Christmas gift that'd be, right? On the other hand, I am an only child, raised by a single parent, and I could tell my mom was feeling incredibly isolated, especially after my grandfather's death last year. So, we booked the tickets, and I made plans to go home. But I didn't want to get my hopes up, because the situation could change at any second. And it did. Japan may not be to the US's level in inability to handle a pandemic, but when you look at the situation in neighboring countries, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam, who all more or less caught it at the same time, this country's attempts to curb the spread have been stupid and outright counterproductive, if you ask me. Would someone please explain to me why during a countrywide pandemic would you encourage people to travel more? I recognize that the Go-To campaign was some vain effort to curb the economic laws, but you know what would have been better? Shutting down for more than a month and having tests be more readily available. It wasn't even a full lockdown. Hell, people still traveled and gallivanted about for Golden Week like shit hadn't internationally hit the fan. I'll get back to my issues with testing later. Anyways, Go-To campaign. Obviously, I used it to get a discount on my ticket from here to Tokyo. It's there, might as well. And would transfer in Tokyo to catch my flight all the way to Newark. That was all well and good until the wave of infections from late October started catching up in the reports in mid-November. Happy Halloween. So, we officially entered into Wave 3. And I'm here like, when the hell did we leave Wave 2? But with that, the government finally wisened up and realized maybe a campaign that encourages traveling, booking hotels, and eating out wasn't a good idea. I've read articles that show the recent, and ongoing, spike in infections is directly linked to the Go-To travel campaign. Link in the description if I remember to put it there. Anyway, so now they wanted to cut the travel. Just in time for my trip. So yeah, first flight got cancelled, and I scrambled to find a new one. See, international flight was fine. The domestic ones were the ones getting cut. I was ready to take the bullet train to Tokyo if I had to. But I was lucky enough to find a new flight, and this one stuck. So let me talk about preparing to fly, because, of course, my troubles were far from over. I'd read many articles with a wide range of answers to the question of, what do I need to do to prepare for my trip and make sure I'm not stranded somewhere? Some said I needed a negative test to get in. Some said I'd need a negative test to go back to Japan. Some were saying Japanese citizens and residents don't need a test to come back. But then the rule changed to say that I do need a test if they're out of the country for more than 14 days. Some said it mattered which test you took. It was a mess. So let me give you the lowdown on my choices and why I made them. First, I didn't take a test to go to America, because my thinking was, they're not going to kick me out of my own country. Quarantining was fine because I wasn't planning on doing anything in New York anyways, and I was literally jumping from the frying pan to a pestilent hellfire. No, shoutouts to New York for doing better than most of the states. The second reason I didn't get tested was, in Japan, free tests are limited to people showing symptoms. Everyone else has to pay 30,000 yen, or the equivalent of $300. What the fuck? So, I flew. I landed in Newark, and honestly felt like I got through customs faster than normal. But I was masked up, with a bottle of Purell in my bag, wet wipes for the seats and for my suitcase for when it came off the belt, and some mouthwash so I could kiss my mother. Had a wonderful Christmas and New Year's, and was truly happy I went home. Now about the trip back. Here was the tricky part. I had read that rapid test results wouldn't be accepted, only the full PCR test, and that you must be tested 72 hours before traveling. But the results for the PCR test can take 3 to 5 days, and the place I went to was saying I'd get my results in 5 to 7 days. So what the fuck? So, I went and got tested twice. PCR on New Year's Eve, rapid test on New Year's Day. And boy was I happy I did that rapid test. In the end, I needed negative results to even get to the gate in Newark. And at the time, the rapid results were the only results I had. But before that, let me talk about the second scare I had. While I was vacationing in New York, Japan announced it would close its borders. Cue a second scouring of information to figure out if I was even going to be allowed back in the country. And while I had found pretty credible information that because I'm a carded resident, I'd be fine, half of my Japanese friends and coworkers were messaging me asking, "Will you be allowed back in Japan? Are you okay? Will you be fine?" I appreciated the concern, but God was that stressing. So I had to show my residency card with my negative test results at the airport in order to be allowed to fly. And homeboy spilled his tea on my copy of my negative results, so I had to wait like a good 20 minutes for him to print out a new one from his email. But with everything, I make it to my gate and get on the plane back to Tokyo. Now, anyone that's flown in the second half of 2020 can tell you that planes ain't packed. My trip to New York was unsettling with how empty a flight it was. Had a row to myself, plenty of legroom, could sleep sprawled out over 3 seats. It's marginally better than sleeping upright against a window while trying not to touch the person next to you, so can't complain. My flight back to Japan, however, I was less lucky. They had actually placed another person in my row, while there were plenty of empty rows, not empty seats, empty rows. I mean, yeah, I moved, but I didn't think I'd have to. But let's get back to my paperwork. In order to get through customs in Japan, I had to fill out a form and sign up and register my contact info online. I feel sorry for the chick a row over who had to pay $50 for the in-flight Wi-Fi to do that, but hey, that ain't my business. I'm not even sure how necessary it was to fill out online, because I feel like they gave us a physical copy of it as well, but I don't know. Landed. People with connecting international flights disembarked first, and the folks who were staying in Japan were rounded up and ushered to the quarantine area. By the time I landed, my PCR test results had come in, so I had that as a backup in case my rapid results weren't enough. So they sit us all down, there's like 30 of us, and have us wait to go to the quarantine area. I thought it was just gonna be us ask a few questions, have to show our results, but no. We had to get tested again. They had set up a spit test facility inside the airport, and we all lined up for our turn to spit in a tube to be tested. I don't know if it's me, but it's actually pretty difficult to make enough saliva to fill up a test tube 1 inch. After that, we had to wait for our results. And it was about half an hour of waiting for results after over an hour of waiting to get tested, I learned what I already knew. Negative. The guy even declared it to me in a semi-dramatic fashion, like I didn't have 2 test results already within the 72 hours saying the same. And then we go to customs. Customs was especially slow because they were actually checking and double-checking everyone's paperwork. But they did take my negative results from the rapid exam, which was good. All in all, from deboarding to exiting the airport took about 3 hours. Made my way back to Fukuoka, thank you, Aki, and prepared to hole in for my 14-day quarantine. Yes, a quarantine, which despite now having 3 tests saying I was negative, I still had to do. Like, I get the need to be careful, but 2 weeks? 2 weeks? Random people on the street are more likely to have it than me. 1 week, followed by a checkup to show you're still negative would be more logical in my opinion, but it is what it is. Winter break 2021, repeat. The weirdest thing to me though, and I'm not sure I missed this step or didn't scan a QR code or whatever, like maybe someone's gonna give me a very angry phone call later or the police are gonna be knocking at my door after this video, but there hasn't been any follow-up. There is literally no one making sure I stay in quarantine. I think one of the forms I filled out said, take your temperature and record your daily activities. But I haven't seen any place to do so. If someone comes after me in the next few weeks looking for me, I mean, I haven't done anything bad, so it's fine, but I feel an air of futility in it all. My dead honest opinion is Japan is over-policing its foreigners because low-key, high-key racism, and the still present notion that they're the reason the virus spiraled out of control here, not the Japanese people walking around maskless and stuff. And I'm off quarantine, so I'm allowed to do this, but I've been out to grab food and stuff, and I've seen people of all ages from, like the 20-year-olds all the way to the elderly, no masks on. But I'm gonna save my feelings on race relations and issues and Japanese government and stuff for other videos. For any Americans in Japan watching this while still in the grips of a global pandemic, as long as things haven't completely changed in the time since, the things you need to get to America are a mask and citizenship. And to get back, you need a test within 72 hours. Rapid will do, but PCR is good just to be safe. Don't forget a doctor's signature. You'll also need a residency card or other means of showing you are able to enter, Wi-Fi to fill out the online forms, a pen to fill out the physical forms that are direct copies of the online forms, and snacks. That last cheese omelet they gave you on the plane ain't gonna hold you for 3 hours plus, trust me. Not that I ate it or anything, but just saying. Though I failed to see the point in this quarantine, it did give me the free time to set up and start working on this channel, as well as work out and cook more. Still didn't do half the stuff I wanted to, but that's what happens when a 14-hour jet lag makes you go to bed at 6 p.m. like a bus-morphing cat. Kudos to the people who get that reference. But I've done enough talking for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next chapter. Take care.